Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. How you feeling tonight? Excellent. 1,968. That many days ago, I was a 15-year-old high school student, surrounded by people dressed in green. And like thousands of Bahamians that night, I saw 3 letters next to a lighthouse for the very first time. DNA. I don't remember everything I heard that night, but I do remember how I felt. I felt like I was witnessing history before me, because I was. It's been years since then. I've graduated high school, left home, and today I'm in my last year of university abroad. But as excellent as that is, that's not the reason I'm standing up here tonight. I'm standing here because I remember what it felt like to sit. Listening right now are some people who will never vote for the DNA, some who definitely will, and a whole lot that are somewhere in between. This speech is about that last group because once upon a time, I was undecided too. Growing up, I used to watch politicians dance on stage, but I found no reason to celebrate. And despite my initial excitement about the launch of the DNA, as time went on, they impressed me less and less. I felt powerless, like I was waiting for someone, anyone, to save the Bahamas from this mess. And it's easy to believe that all politicians are the same and that nothing is going to change no matter who you vote for. Believe me, I get it. I thought that too, until I became a politician myself. And I don't wear that label with pride, and it's not something I wanted. But speaking at this political convention means I have to accept it. But just know that beneath what you see out here is a student whose greatest dream is to come back home to a much better Bahamas. My friends abroad, are you listening? Things started to change for me when I gave the DNA another shot and went to their events in person. The first was a town hall meeting on good governance. The second, a live interview with Braynen McCartney and Aaron Ferguson. And by the third event, I realized that my perceptions were changing. The more I listened, the more I learned that the DNA had been speaking to the issues I cared about all along. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing has changed. In 2011, I realized there was more to the DNA than just Braynen McCartney, and nothing has changed. The DNA has fought for people like you and me from its inception, and nothing has changed. Even when they didn't make the nightly news, they were still fighting for me, and nothing has changed. Swing voters, are you listening? If you listen closely, you will hear a 21st century party that represents the future and not the past. That's especially important for people who might not see a future in this country, young people. And at some point, all of us studying abroad have asked a question that's harder than anyone you'll find on an exam. Am I really coming home after college? There's no easy answer to that question, but our short-sighted politics is part of the reason why. Petty insults become petty governments that make thousands of Bahamians buy one-way plane tickets in the wrong direction. But what if you gave those young people a different Bahamas to come back to, instead of one that you hope they'll settle for? What if you used the power of now to make national and international headlines that caused every Bahamian abroad to lift up their heads to the rising sun again? What if instead of changing parties, you changed policies and systems and ways of thinking by making this third party the government of the Bahamas? I'll tell you what you would have. You would have a renaissance. And that kind of renaissance is what it'll take to change this country. But when you keep voting for 2 parties that made us want to leave in the first place, or don't vote at all, you hold this country's potential back. And the DNA can't guarantee that your kids will come home, but you can use this election to start the conversation right now. Parents, are you listening? Now is a state of mind. My grandfather, Bruce Braynen, taught me that. He was a PLP MP and senator, and yet politics never came up around the dinner table. But the one time we talked politics changed my outlook on life. When his generation voted for majority rule, it wasn't out of tradition, but because that's what it took to change their reality. He told me that he did what he had to do for his times and that I should do the same for mine. His courage, not his loyalty to his party, was the example he wanted me to follow. I'll say that again. His courage and not his loyalty to his party was the example he wanted me to follow. First-time voters, are you listening? Ordinary people like him knew that nobody else was coming to save this country. So to my friends out there who say they don't care about politics, I get it. But not only do you have to care, I think you already do. When you get home after a long day at work and current off, you care. When you're crammed into a hot, moldy government office just to get an essential service, you care. When you need support for your brand new business and you call the politician with the good smile who asked for your vote in 2012 only to find that the cellular service has been disconnected, you do care. And when you have to ID a loved one found dead in the street at 2 a.m, but by 10 a.m. the Prime Minister is saying that the Bahamas is stronger than ever, yes, you do care about politics. My friends, are you listening? Politics would be better if more people like you got involved, and the DNA would be better too. What I'm asking is that you drop your fears and get out of your comfort zone. But you don't have to listen to this 20-year-old. You can listen to Socrates, who once said that to move the world, we must first move ourselves. You can listen to Barack Obama, who said that nothing in life that's worth anything is easy. Listen to Jesus, who said that all things are possible for those who believe. Listen to the elderly people in this country, and the one I met on a walkabout, whose disappointment turned into hope for their future because this party took the time to sit and listen to them. The DNA never asked for her vote, they earned it. Seniors, are you listening? In the DNA, treating people like they matter is better than saying it through a slogan. And as an advertising major, one of the first things I'll tell you is that if your business isn't booming, don't always go to the marketing department and fire people like me. Check your product. Because when you use good marketing to cover up a faulty product, sure, you might get people buying at first, but pretty soon they'll feel cheated. There's a reason why in our last 4 elections, the governing party has changed 4 times. There's a reason why the PLP promised you change in 2012, and 4 years later, now the FNM is using the same word. Rather than fix their outdated products, they're trying to get you to try them just one more time. And after all, if the products were that good, they wouldn't need to change it every 5 years. So if you're feeling cheated by the 2 parties that claim to be the only choices, you're not alone. Some politicians will tell you to vote for who is most likely to defeat the PLP. And others will tell you to choose the best person in your constituency. But too few people seem to be concerned about electing a new government that is actually better than the one we're trying to replace. And the biggest enemy we face in 2017, to my mind, is not the PLP. It's complacency. Complacency would like you to forget that voting for the lesser of 2 evils is still voting for an evil. Listen to a greater good and don't take them for granted when you have the chance to vote for them right now, and especially not when they can give you the total package. You no longer have to choose between real representatives, smart solutions, and qualified leadership. You can get 3 for the price of 1. DNAs, are you listening? And Bahamas, are you listening? This election is the wrong time to be shy. And people often say that politics is a game, and they're right. But with your vote, you're either going to play it or change it. You can be the hero of your own story, and you would be surprised. Writing stories in history can be easy. All you need to do is pick up your pencil and paper and mark your X. Thank you, Bahamas. God bless, and have a good night.